Are you ready to hear from a multi passionate serial entrepreneur and learn about how she got started and how she's running all of these businesses? This is the Scale You podcast, where every single week we invite another amazing guest, whether they are an entrepreneur, a coach, a teacher, a freelancer, a nomad, and everything else in between, to walk you through their own journey of how they are where they are and the impact that they're hoping to create within the world. In this season 3, we are focused on a lot of amazing serial entrepreneurs, people who have more than one business, and how they're able to manage it. So if you're ready to ditch the grind, let's scale you. Now, our guest today is the co-owner and vice president of Puzzlebox BPO, a 24/7 BPO service provider out of Taguig in Manila with over 20 years of experience in marketing and business. She is also the president of the New Channel, a platform showcasing a lot of Filipino talents and global influencers. She is a certified digital leader, an MSME Hero awardee, a passionate traveler, a fashion enthusiast, and a devoted wife and mother. Okay, guys, so please help me welcome our amazing guest today, Miss Apple. Hi, Miss Apple. How are you today?
Hi, Lian. Good, good. It's a good weather here in Manila. Sun has shined so well. No, no disaster note. Well, so far no traffic for me today here, and the weather is fine. The sun is up. How
So
about you? How are you?
good, good. As the time of this recording, basically, it just came from Sinulog, so Cebu's kind of calming down from the surge of people, but pretty good. So excited to finally have you on the podcast. I remember asking you like November, December. I was like, I would love to have you, especially for this season of having multiple businesses, because you're one of the people I really look up to when it comes to managing businesses the way that you do. So to start us off, can you please introduce yourself a little bit to the audience? Tell us more about you kind of behind the scenes, and then we'll start tackling the different businesses that you have.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lian. Thank you for having me on your show. It's such a pleasure to be here to share with you about myself and the things that I do. As Lian said, the many things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
There are really not a lot of things. It's a wrong notion that I'm a very busy person. In fact, I'm at a point in my life where already able to focus on things that I really want to do, passion projects that I feel make me a better person. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're talking, I'm a woman. I create online events and content and projects that promote women empowerment. I absolutely am excited to meet a lot of Filipino women around the world, group them together, and try to create something that makes other people's lives even better. And I'm a mom. No, one of the ultimate things that happened in my life is that 11 years ago, I was blessed with my son, who obviously needs a lot of my time and attention, uh, but at the same time is able to understand that he has to share his mom to the world as well. So I'm a wife. A big portion of the obviously my tag team, my partner in crime, and my best friend and my lover at the same time is my husband, who's also my business partner in almost everything that I do in terms of business. I'm a team player. I work with some international companies as a marketing and business development consultant, as a media consultant as well. So I work with several teams here and abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do some I do. Um, I try to duplicate and multiply myself by participating in different organizations because I'd like to campaign for the use and not the abuse of digital only for good. And of course, we're a very proud and very responsible. Try to be always responsible, Filipino,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my elevator pitch
I love it.
for you.
So, walk us through what was kind of the, and I love the intro. I love the picture also that you painted, that despite everything else, like you have a very supportive and involved husband, and of course your kid, and of course your advocacies as well. But what was kind of the flip or the start of your entrepreneurial journey? Like, either what was your first business, or what was that build up like for you to like, oh, now I'm entrepreneur, or like, oh, I want to start a business.
I mean, just to begin with, I grew up with an entrepreneurial family. My father is actually a businessman.
Hmm.
I don't remember. My father used to be a soldier, and then he transitioned into a businessman. So while I was growing up, I was already having that. training from
Mhm.
him. So I would go. I remembered when I was growing up, and I've mentioned this to a couple of other podcast interviews that I had in the past, where I said I remembered when I was in grade 5 or grade 6, and he would ask me to go to a bank manager and help transact for him while he was
Mhm.
waiting outside the car and having a phone call with a client, for example, like that. So I don't think a lot of grade 5 students or grade 6
Are
students would.
able to do it, yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember during summer, I would go to him almost every day and visit his clients. So
Mm.
I kind of have like that firsthand experience from growing up until college. Actually, I have been doing that with my father. And then I worked, I went to Metro Manila. I worked for a few companies, and when I met with Erwin, my husband, one of our dreams together is really to have something, a business together, because
Mhm.
I was obviously telling him about my experience growing up, and it's also one of his dreams to have something of his own. And there was just this one opportunity where their company decided to fold the operations, and a lot of their employees were laid off. And he said, maybe this is already the right time for me to start something. Are
Mhm.
you going to join me? So I was still in media at that time, so I couldn't leave my job because I was practically enjoying it.
Mhm.
I was enjoying meeting with people, traveling, doing events, being part of new concepts. When that was my first time in media, and I really enjoyed it. Well, second time in media.
Mhm.
But he said, let's go, let's try to do it together if it's gonna work. So we did, and now we're already 12 years operating the
Wow.
business process outsourcing. So we began a business, and it was a 24/7 operations. We were already married then, but we still didn't have a child, so it was
Mhm.
easier for us to manage our time. But obviously, the other businesses that I've gotten myself into after that were mostly things that relaxes me. Like, I'm
Mhm.
into the distribution and designing of fashion accessories, and that one has always been my outlet. When
Mhm.
I'm, for the lack of better term, stressed out, so I try to and make something. I
Mhm.
like writing, not known to many because I don't publish any book or like write for any publication, but I really do like poetry in a way growing up, and I like designing because I'm a fine arts grad as well. And so putting that together, what makes me, and of course the media experience that I had is what makes me um, got into the role of, parang fitting myself into TNC as well. And
Mhm.
then the business grew on me over time because it started during the time of pandemic. And once you've realized that, oh, this is a business that's always new, so you have to evolve every year. You have to think of ways on how you won't bore the people who are following you or following the channel. And so it excites me. It
Mhm.
excites me to create new things. It excites me to talk to people of things that they haven't seen or they haven't really experienced. And in the process, I experienced new things as well, which is uh how do you call that? I can't even explain it. Like,
The perk
get
of
excited
entrepreneur.
excited at the same time you appreciate the things that you can actually leave behind. So
Mhm.
really, yeah.
Got it. Well, it's cool and interesting because like I love what you said there, where you did start the business outsourcing company, and I would love to ask more questions in a little bit about that too. But then, once you started to establish yourself in that, you started then going back to the things that you do love doing, which is how TNC came about, and you have other advocacies that you have also in line. So yeah, walk us through that, like from the very first on the outsourcing business, and then you have the NC. For those who have never heard of either one, can you walk us through what each business is? And I guess like a really good way of like what kind of got you excited about each of them.
When we started Puzzle Box BPO, which is an outsourcing company, I came from media and marketing and business development and the arts. So obviously this is a tech run company, and you talk about customer service, you talk a bit of marketing, but my my approach is that I'm bringing digital marketing into the picture. So this was the time when social media is still starting in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is not even a marketplace yet. TikTok is not yet in the, not yet in
A thing.
business, or
Mm-hmm.
not yet a thing yet. So I had to work hard to understand what an app is, what it's like to use them, what a CRM looks like, and how
Mm-hmm.
it helps brands and how it amplifies the servicing in a BPO setting. So it was hard in the beginning because there's really a lot of technical stuff that I had to learn. But I felt that there was a good connect because my husband is the operations and tech guy, and I'm coming in as the marketing and business development. So I was thinking, if you combine that, then that's an absolute business
Mm-hmm.
model, right? So might as well do it together than look for other people who will help us build it. But obviously we did. I mean, we hired people, we worked with other people, we also collaborated with other companies. But I think the good thing about that is we have learned to understand and appreciate each other's work. So it's not easy. It's not easy. A lot of people were actually telling me, and I'm sure some of those viewers who have actually worked with their spouses would also agree that
Mm-hmm.
it's actually really not easy to work with your spouse. So in the process, you have to learn how to change or switch gears, switch hats when you're talking to your partner, as a business
Mm-hmm.
partner, and a wife, right? So that's a totally
True.
different. That's no, that's a talent that you have to build as well. So in the process, I think it's a natural in me that would always go back to some passion projects that you've always wanted to do, because like I always say, I am an accidental member of the company, which is
Mm-hmm.
Puzzlebox. And I think good good accidents naturally happen, and I was one of them. So I loved it. I liked it because
Mm-hmm.
we're really able to build something that we can call our own. And it was a challenge for us to obviously stay afloat in the business to this day. But since it's happening, we assume that whatever it is that we are doing,
You're
people
doing it right.
trust us. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I wouldn't say that we're doing it right. It's really a process all the time. But we must be doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to be surrounded with people also who help us, who support us, makes a big difference. I mean, I can just imagine if other people were too negative about the things that we're doing and telling us, "Oh, no, don't forget about it. It's not gonna work." But we
Mm-hmm.
have a very good and a very strong support system also coming from our families who trusts that this might work, and so it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, along the way, when you're too focused on one thing, and I always tell whenever I'm asked how to explain or to describe myself in the past, I always say I'm a Jill of all traits and a
Mm-hmm.
master of 10, not a master of one. So I guess I have I have really, what do you call that? I have seriously understood that
Mm-hmm.
that that persona that I wanted to be. And so having to just master one is nonsense for me. Like, you can't be you have to be um yeah, you have to be replaceable to a certain point, because when you train people, which is part of the BPO process, the
Yep.
systems and approach, but at the same time you have to keep evolving, right? So that you become a master of not just one but of many.
Yeah.
So that's what I have been doing. And in the process, I'm able to create businesses with other people, advocacy projects, concepts, because you're always thinking that if one doesn't work, at least you still have other backup plans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hate to say this, but I'm so afraid I'm so afraid to be at the point where I don't have a choice but to just do something that doesn't make me happy.
True. True.
So I was very clear that I wanted to do something at a certain point in my life where I can choose and choose to be happy. So things that you do have to be sustainable for you to be able to get there, right? So it's a lot of trial and error and risking and holding back in the process. You're getting from one business to the other. and putting and running them together or running them separately, splicing yourself from being this person to the next is quite a tough job. But at a certain point, again, no, when your mindset is in, I just want to create something that will make sense to myself, will
Mm-hmm.
make me happy, will help other people, but at the same time will help my family because I'm earning. I think you'll be able to do a lot of things at the same time. And I think it's also our generation. I read this because I'm in between millennial and Gen Z, and of course I have a lot of friends who are also Gen Xers. So I listen to
Mm-hmm.
them. I I I try to immerse myself, or like I try to imagine myself being in their shoes. Like when I'm already there, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I like writing. So when even after college, I really write my goals, Lian. Like specific goals. Like I want to have this car. I want to be able to go to this place. I want to be able to own this. So I have certain promises to myself that hopefully I'll be able to fulfill. And then I don't also pressure myself too much. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. I mean, I think it comes with maturity. I'm 40, turning 43 now. So I guess, or 43. I'm 43 now. So I guess the mindset is already different. But
Mm-hmm.
all I know, ever since after college, like even when I was 20, I'm always excited to do things. It's like I make it the point that when I do something, it's an opportunity given to me. I'll give it my 100%, if not 200%. Because otherwise, I'm not sure if that opportunity will be given to me again. Right? So I guess
Mm-hmm.
that kind of mentality ever since, when you're just so excited to do things, even if it's hard, no hard or easy work for me. I mean, to be very honest with you, it's just all finding the exciting part of it, and then I start from there. And then you build up on, okay, there will be days when it's so hard, and then there will be days when it's just so easy. So you just give yourself the break also when it's needed. So I try to live that kind of lifestyle so that I get excited to create new things, and then I develop new businesses along the way.
Got it. So I love it. You're basically what you're describing is you're kind of the definition of one, a serial entrepreneur, and the second thing that I'll add is very much just the multi passionate entrepreneur. Like exactly like you said. I love the last part that you said there too. Of um, it's not really that things are hard or easy for you. It just depends basically also how you show up and how you do things. And I love the Jill of trades because I've also called myself that of like, oh, you kind of have to when you're a business owner, you have to know and do everything else in between as you learn everything too. So got it. Well, thank you so much. That gave me a lot of insight as well. And you don't look 43 at all. You look like you're still in your mid early to mid 30s just because of how you do keep up basically with a lot of the things that you're doing. So yeah, so one of the things that I really was curious about, so you talked about Puzzle Box, you talked about TNC, which I've had the honor of being on, um, and then of course you also have the different advocacy. Can you walk us through like how many businesses or advocacies are you currently managing? You have the jewelry, and I think I have your jewelry somewhere. I had it displayed here earlier, but I don't know where now I put it because I was thinking of here. It's in my jewelry box. But yeah, walk us through either both the different businesses that you have and the different advocacies that you're currently running or developing as well.
So Puzzle Box is all about supporting what my husband wanted to do basically.
Mm,
And then I put myself there as the marketing and business development. That's why we're able to develop other verticals for the business, not just customer support management.
mm,
And then I have always wanted to have fancy accessories or nice real accessories for myself, but I didn't want to spend
mm,
because I spend a lot.
mm,
So what I did, I I look for suppliers locally and abroad, and I try to create some partnerships with them, and so I did. So I get to have the opportunity to curate. So I get the first designs right in front of my
mm,
face, and I also because I know them, then I can get, for example, real pearls at a cheaper price. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to develop it into a business because it's also helping other communities in Mindanao.
Mm-hmm.
And then TNC happened during the time of pandemic when a lot of people didn't have an opportunity to go back to work. And so I said, because we've been marketing Puzzle Box internationally, and I said maybe it's high time for us to also work with some local brands. So we tried, excuse
Mm-hmm.
me, for Puzzle Box, and because we will have a lot of other a lot, not a lot, a few employees who will be afloat because of the pandemic, we thought maybe we can create something new that
Mm-hmm.
where we can assign them, so then they won't lose their jobs. So on the business side of Puzzle Box, that's how it actually started. And there's always been this opportunity or wanting opportunity for me to go back to media because I really enjoyed it. And so we did. And then along the way, we developed a lot of other things, a lot of other opportunities because of the newness of life,
Mm-hmm.
So almost 5 years after, there are a lot of other things that we do on TNC already. And in the beginning, I was just really at the backstage, trying to create a lot of other things that people who would like to be in front of the camera would do. And so I've also been very encouraged. I've always been encouraged also by a lot of people who are following the new channel, especially in the beginning, that there has to be something that I would contribute also for the content. And
Mm-hmm.
because initially I didn't want to be facing the camera this way. I try to be at the backstage as much as possible so that I'll be able to give better feedback. I believe so for
Mm-hmm.
those who are creating content in front of the camera. But I also thought, okay, maybe I can do something that not necessarily requires for me to be on the camera all the time, but will be a program that will be sustainable for the business. So I created the advocacy program of the new channel, which is Global Women Who Rule. So I created the Global Women Who Rule. And in the beginning, I was thinking to myself, okay, what can I do that will be that can cause or spark interest for people to notice TNC,
Mm-hmm.
sustainable, something that is sustainable, and at the same time something that will help me change the world. Basically, that's been right there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, okay, let's create something that allows Filipino women from different parts of the world to be recognized, not necessarily to be awarded, because it's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be telling stories and just sharing something that may impact other people who will be interested to listen to them. And I started to talk to friends within TNC in the beginning, and then they all agreed, okay, that's a good idea, that's a good concept. So I developed and started to talk to media friends, friends that are also working in other media, because I thought, okay, that's a good opportunity for me to amplify the advocacy if you're talking to other media. And also to note that when I started doing it, the mindset was I didn't want this media people and media companies to look or to see TNC as a competition, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not. And I've always believed that it will always be just an alternative. So I said I have to work with them so that they won't feel that it might be an obstruction to their plans or to their business,
Mm-hmm.
but the Global Women Who Rule might be an opportunity for us to collaborate with them. So I started talking to friends in the media that I have worked with in the past, or excuse me, I have met along the way, and they actually appreciated it. That it's not an award, it's not asking them anything, but it's basically just um, requesting from them if they can share a good story about themselves or things that they have done in the past or their advocacies.
Mm-hmm.
And wanted to have just a few women at the time, and then there were so many good feedback that we have received, to a point that from supposedly 13 profiled women, it became 22.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, 4 years after, we're on to planning our fifth year this coming June. We're moving it to June. it has become one of the flagship programs of the new channel that I'm really proud of. I was actually telling them, later on in your life, you can pass on projects, right? Companies maybe pass on to other people. Not that I'm not interested to run it anymore, but I think Global Women Rule is really an eye opener for me, that we don't have, as women, we don't have to be afraid to be sincerely friends or to really connect with people, because yeah, we can be very different from each other, but at one point, when it's about trying to make a difference, I think that's where a lot of us would be able to use our voices, and having that voice is actually a gift, so might as well have that role or keep that role for me to be able to support these women who are already using their voices to even do it or use it further, right? To further themselves and to further other people, and to be conscious, and at one point just to be that supporting group or support person, to make them realize that, hey, you're doing a great job, and you don't have to be recognized by the rest of the world. You just have to be recognized by at least one group.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else that I'm doing is already connected to it. So after Global Women Who Rule, it already grew to me and my outstanding mother. So I was thinking to myself, what else can we do? And one of the key things that I realized along the way is that when you become a mom, I mean, with respect to those who are not, and of course, kudos to those who are, your
Mm-hmm.
mindset changes. You try to still continue to do the things that you're doing, but at some point you will really change. Like, your mindset will change, your body will obviously change,
Mm-hmm.
your choices in life will be different, and then it will come to a point where most of the things that you do are things that will have to do with your children or with your child, and that's a normal thing, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. But I feel that as global women, the concept of Global Women Rule is talking about you as a person, not necessarily you as a mother.
Yeah.
So the concept of me and mom came because the world has really becoming so different that I see a lot of mom and daughters who are separated or not liking their choices in life, ending up not liking each other at all, not talking at all. So I said, maybe we can start with the young people. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I also see a lot of young people who are friends with their moms. And I said, maybe if you start from there, you build up from the young people's perspective that their moms are okay, their moms are going through a lot of changes in their lives, but they're great. And it's such a gift to be friends with your mom. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a gift to be best friends with your mom. It's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, you have to be proud of it. So I started to talk to other friends also who are very hands-on moms, and at the same time have children who can already speak in public. So through that, we were able to create we were able to put together eight mom and daughter tandems who shared their story, but in a different way. This
Mm-hmm.
time, it's their children talking about how outstanding their moms is and how they like to be their mom when they grow up. And that's just thinking that in the future, these children will become the future Global Women Who Rule profiles. But they start young so that there will be more people around them who will think the same way. If there's hardly none. And all of these, Lian, were happening during pandemic. So you can just imagine, my mindset then was,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how to change the world? What kind of stories are supposed to be out there so that we can change the way people think, help build something. And if this is already our last, at least we have done something that's really great and something that will really change more people's lives once they see the story.
Mm-hmm.
So people liked it, people picked it up, they were so grateful. I thought it was very dramatic in the beginning, so I was hesitant to do it. But later on I realized, yeah, it's so much fun. And it's a good combination of emotions, good happy emotions, and emotional uh, crying, and emotions everywhere. But at the end of the day, it's all good vibes that
Mm-hmm.
came out. It's all about love, and so I liked it. I said, we might as well continue to do this. After that, we developed like father and like son as a concept within TNC. So technique like father and like son is almost like me and my outstanding mother. It's just that it's this time around it's the dad and the son who's talking about each other and talking in public, and that's very rare as well. So if you look at all these things that we have done in TNC, Lian, they may be under the umbrella of TNC, but technically speaking, they could be different this altogether because they're actually not, they are connected, but we treat them as separate concepts altogether. And then because of the many things that we've been doing online, we have I have been recommended and suggested to become the country partner or the master franchisees for Karaoke World Championship. So in the beginning, I had hesitation as well. I was like, okay, I like music, but I have not really been into that. And I feel like that's a totally different business altogether, which is already happening right now. KWC, the Karaoke World Championship Philippines, which is one of the one of the arms of the KWC Global, is actually a different business altogether. So it allows us to create local talents, give them opportunities for a new livelihood or promote them as individuals. And then I had partnerships with other companies here and also in Singapore. And we merged our ideas together and we thought, okay, we can probably launch artists out of the winners. So now we are already helping produce some concerts in the Philippines. In fact, we'll have one in March 15 in CCP Open Grounds. It's called Fusion Manila. So in the past, I'm just part of Fusion Manila as a media partner and as a partner, as a friend of the organizer, who's Direct Gladys Basinilio. But this year, we're already putting our KWCPH artists on stage, and they're already performing as part of the many things that has happened from pandemic time to now. And then I still continue to do the other things because they are they can be used. Like for example, the accessories, because I do a lot of women empowerment. I'm able to sell as well. And then I already have a display in one of the hotels in Manila right now in Crimson Alabang. So there's a display for Private Pop Avenue there. So I think all these things that you want to do and you want to do it long term will just make a lot of sense if they're also connected in a way. I mean, they're not necessarily the same, but somehow you're able to connect each one of them so that you'll be able to do it all at the same time. My international affiliations or my consultancies are more into business development and marketing, and it's also my to test whatever it is that we're doing in the country abroad and vice versa. So I help brands to make sure that they are able to optimize their media plans, optimize their social media accounts, so which is something that we're always experiencing in Puzzle Box. So it's really connected so that I don't get lost as well. I think the only thing that is not necessarily connected are the personal things that you do, right? Like being a mom right now. But all those things, even being the mom that I am, is all because you're showing love, right? You're showing concern. So you would give it your time and give it an effort also to excel in those things. But then, Lian, it's not easy. Okay, it's not, here I am talking to this podcast and telling you, hey, do this because it's easy. No, I think you have to come to a point where you already know what you want to do. At some point, you're contented and satisfied. You try not to compare yourself with other people. You look at, don't get me wrong, you look at them you see and observe people. I don't read people. I don't like doing that. I don't like that being done to me either, but I observe people. And
Mhm.
that's what I've always been telling our staff and the people that I work with as well. I mean, even my friends. Like, you just try to get the best things that other people are doing. And because you observe them, you become very conscious of the other nuances that they're doing, and you try to avoid that for yourself.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
true. I love how each business of yours, like you said, like ramps up each other, to support each other, and I love that it started with business outsourcing, which a lot of people would think like, oh, it's making sure matching clients with a service that they need, so on and so forth. But you saw that and you brought like, oh, what can we do locally? Like, how can we support each person? And TNC is such a great channel for that, because I've like I said, I've been on a couple of shows on TNC. I've been honored to do that, and I've seen each person that you have worked with and supported through the show, um, or through their shows. Each one of them is shining a light on something different. And still supporting people who are local, and even with, of course, Global Women. I was honored. I think it's now been 3 years, because I think I was in the 2022 batch.
Mm.
Um, that I saw also all the love from all of the amazing women that you did shine a spotlight on, that a lot of them weren't expecting. I wasn't expecting it at all. A lot of them were honored and also felt like they were seen, and I love that. And even with the mom and dad one, like, as someone who sadly lost my mom almost 4 years ago now, I can see, years from now, as they grow up, as life, they can go back to those videos, those clips of them talking about their parents, that they can honor them a little bit better, and also something again to look back on. So each one of them, like you said, is made out of love, is good vibes basically all around. And I love that you did also touch upon a little bit of the challenge, especially on like, I've talked to so many entrepreneurs who feel the same, of like comparing yourself, doubting yourself, questioning what you're doing. You just have to be sure. I like the what you said, of like, you have to just be short about yourself, on a lot of them. So you've already given us so many nuggets, and I do want to ask, of course, our favorite question at the Scale You podcast, which is, if we can go ahead and scale you and duplicate you, let's say there's a second Apple, third Apple, 300 Apples in the world, what kind of change or impact would you want to leave the world, either in addition to what you're currently doing, or something that you want to see more of the world because of the influence that you have in the world?
If I'm to clone myself, actually, I was talking to you about it backstage, right? It's such a very difficult question actually to answer. It's like you're might be overselling yourself in the process of it. But I think if it's like a better version of me, maybe I would have had more than one child. Maybe.
Mm,
I mean, if you can design it, maybe, because who doesn't want to experience that, right? So, and that's a lot of gifted to you. And I grew up with four siblings, and I see their love and concern, and I feel their love and concern and support to me in anything that I do. So I would want that for my children as well, just in case, no, if I to
mm,
clone myself in a different way. But I think I would keep the part where that Apple cloned with more children, but still always excited to jump into any risk or any opportunity that's given to her. I think if there's one thing that I'd say, modesty aside, I like about myself is that I'm I'm afraid inside, but it's never shown outside. So it's like the show must go on all the time.
mm-hmm,
That's why it's I think when you have that kind of spirit and when you have that kind of values or attitude, it shows to other people and they want to work with you all the time because they feel your enthusiasm. They feel your excitement in doing something.
mm-hmm,
And I'd like for that cloned Apple to have that, right? And I think the consciousness, the self-consciousness, the consciousness of the people around you, because if you don't come from a family of, you know if you come from a good family, like I'd like to believe I came from, but a family where you don't get everything that and you have to work hard for the things that you have.
mm-hmm,
And then I think that's where the enthusiasm, the excitement to do things come from. But don't get me wrong. I'm very happy just having one child, because at the end of the day, one or many, you're still, you're blessed. And I
Mm.
feel like very blessed. Not everyone would be in the position where I am, where I feel like your voice is being heard by some people, and you get to do the things that you are happy to do. And I wish that for any clone Apple to
Mm.
be to happen as well. But I was just hoping and thinking that if there's any, I would probably advance it, like start a little even younger. Like instead of wasting, I wouldn't say I wasted my time, but for a lot of young people right now, that's, for the lack of better term, I feel like some of their time is actually wasted. Why? Because the opportunities right in front of them, and yet some of them don't grab it. Like,
Mm.
I'll give you an example. Like, I see a lot of young people right now being given an opportunity to advance in their careers, but they would rather hang on to where they are right now because it's comfortable.
Mm.
Um, the Apple that you see right now looks comfortable, but when this Apple was growing up, it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
So I'd like to clone that part of myself where I'm very resilient. Like whatever there is, I try to make the most out of it, and I try to win more from it. And then goals are set. I think I got that from my very first mentor or boss, where he always told me, he's the one who's always been um, mentoring me, and especially when I was beginning, because I was really new in Manila. Like I moved here when I was 20,
Mm.
and I had relatives, but he was like my kuya, my kuya, and he was the one always telling me, write your goals, because unlike him, he's very young, but he's very rich,
Mm.
but I am not. I'm just very young. I'm not rich. So he'd always tell me, you will come to a point when it's you already. So you have to write your goals, make sure it's achievable, and work towards that goal all the time. And I never forget that.
Mm.
And I was all to clone that Apple still is that you just embrace the experiences all the time. So I'd say what? I'd say I wouldn't change a lot of things. I guess maybe less emotional Apple,
Mm.
emotional, because I think I can be sometimes. I have that tendency, but I think that's where the authenticity also comes from. I think that's where the young, the the ignited provinciana that I was would always come from. Did always step back a bit and allow other people to do their thing, and then fix yourself, make an extra effort towards achieving your goals, and making sure that you're very self-conscious, and then just keeping that private life for yourself and enjoying the little things and the big experiences as well. So that's why I always tell you to me, or I always tell the people, to me, there's no small or big experience. To me, every experience that's given to me, that's offered to me, I just treat it as the same. Like it's like you give me a small thing or you give me a big thing, the impact is the same, because I like I like appreciating things that are given to me, and that's why I try to do the same for other people.
Mm.
I'm not perfect, obviously. I'm a very imperfect human being. I probably am not liked by a lot of people as well. They just don't tell. But
Mm.
um, I try to be very self-conscious, and I try to make a difference not just in my life but in other people's lives. And if there's any, I think it's really that. I mean, it's so hard to clone yourself, um, and not become better. So
True.
I'd say, if physically that person will have to be, kept in that waistline forever.
Mhm.
25, 24, 25 waistline forever, healthier version of me, you know um but still self-conscious and living a life to make yourself happy and at the same time to make an impact on other people's lives, whether you're conscious or not. I
Mm.
think there's any, I'd like people to be like that, not just the people that I can clone myself into. It's not easy. It's not easy. I've said this, not easy all the time, because whenever people listen to us, they think that the experience and all that is just, a walk in the park. It's not. There
Mhm.
will be days when you won't sleep. There will be days when you will cry all day. There will be days when, you'll get frustrated. But there will also be days when you'll be very happy. So you just have to you just have to appreciate that kind of, and appreciate life, overall, and have that perspective that when you're not feeling good, it's not gonna last forever. It's not gonna stay that way. When you're feeling good, you have to also appreciate it, because you have to like it, and you have to appreciate that, this is how it feels when you're
Mm.
feeling good, when you're feeling happy and satisfied, so that you look for that in the many things that you're doing. Then the work doesn't become a burden for you. One more thing, one of my former bosses also, because I was a working student when I was in college. I was a university scholar at the same time, a working student. One of my bosses there said to me, and I wouldn't forget this. He said, "You have to find the job that you will love, and the job doesn't necessarily have to love you." He didn't
Mm.
qualify that. You just have to find a job that you will love. That job again doesn't necessarily have to love you back. You just have to love it, because he said, when you love something, you shouldn't be expecting in return. I know it's cliche, but I've learned this when I was probably 17 or 18 years old. And you can just imagine, if I didn't have those kinds of people who also gave me those kinds of nuggets when I was younger, I would probably think that life is also easy. But I was already treated that way at a very young age, and being taught, find your happiness. It doesn't have to be here. Find a job that you will love, but don't expect that job will always love you back. Because it makes a lot of sense, Leon,
Mm.
right? I mean, why do you do this? Why do you do the podcast? It's very difficult to do this. It's very difficult to talk to people. It's very difficult to edit and market this, to be
Mm.
honest, right? But why do you do this? Because you believe that you're capable of doing it, and you know that when you do, you're able to fulfill a certain part of yourself, and you
Yeah.
can make impact in other people's lives, right? That's a gift.
Mm.
So you don't necessarily put the, oh, I'm sure it's because we're probably in a space where we have businesses, so we don't think of, okay, because we want to make money out of it. Obviously, in all the things that I told you, there has to be some compensation, right?
Mm.
Because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do the other things. And the compensation doesn't obviously always come in cash. It can be in emotional
Mm.
reward. And one thing also that I have learned throughout the time that I'm specifically doing TNC is that when you do some business, or when you do something good for other people, let's say you're doing a business out of goodwill, you don't expect that those people that you gave, or you offered, or extended the goodwill, will be the same people who will give it back.
Yeah.
The universe, or the world,
Karma. Yeah.
yeah, or my Lord and Savior will give it to me in a different form. And I have experienced that myself. Again, you just have to be self-conscious when you are determining all these things in your life. And yeah, I'm not even sure kasi, Alian, I'm not very sure if I can actually clone myself or whatever. It's always the choice of other people. Even your own children. Like, I experience it with my son. He is a bit of me and his dad, and a lot of other elements outside, which obviously you cannot contain. Like, he will be developed in the person that he will be in the future, and you just have to wish and pray and do something good. You're right, karma. You do something good for yourself, you do something good for other people, so that in the future you don't worry that something
Mm-hmm.
bad might happen, because at the end of the day, you know that you're doing the right thing even if when no one is looking, right?
True, true. Well, again, a lot of really, really good nuggets and a lot of really good insights that I will be thinking about a lot. And hopefully, for those who are either watching or listening this podcast, will also have taken a lot of notes. So, Apple, how can people find you? How can people connect with you? How can people follow you through your journey in entrepreneurship and in your advocacies as well?
So yeah, you can find me also on socials. I'm active on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Facebook and LinkedIn, it's Apple Esplana Dash Manansala. And then Instagram is at I am Apple E Manansala. And then you can also email me, Apple at puzzlebox-inc.com. Check out Puzzlebox, www.puzzlebox-inc.com. You know what, Lian, at a certain point, people were telling me, though, aren't you confusing the world about the things that you're doing? And because there's so many, like your Puzzle Box, your Apple of TNC, your Apple of Global Women Rule, your Apple of etc. etc. But I always tell them, I'm so grateful, particularly to Puzzle Box, because if it had not been gifted to us, I don't think I'll be capable of doing a lot of other things that I've done after that. That's why it's so difficult for me to take myself out from that. I feel like I have learned so many things from there and experienced a lot of things as well. And if there's anything else, in fact, that I would want the world to appreciate, the young entrepreneurs who will be watching you, the startup communities, the freelancers who might be watching, who wanna start up their own businesses. Sometimes we're placed in a situation where we question, which is what happened to me when I was entering the world of tech, which is Puzzle Box at the time. And I was, it's so hard. Like, when they were talking about a lot of tech stuff, and I was like, I was Googling, or I was like asking my husband, this, how does it work? But at a certain point, I also realized that it's a challenge. It's always nice and a good exercise to challenge yourself. So sometimes you don't have to start at a very convenient or a very comfortable place, and it can still do magic for you. You just have to give it yourself, you give it your all, even if sometimes it's just really hard. But of course, it's going to be very easy if you will start at the point where your passion has already been ignited, and then that's the kind of business that you are into. Another big thing is that it doesn't just start from there, because you can start at an uncomfortable state or at a comfortable state, but it's the sustaining of the business that
Long term,
actually. Yes, the longevity of the business, how do you sustain the business, is another big question that will make you be called an entrepreneur, right? I'm not saying if you start a business and you operate it for a few months, you're not an entrepreneur. No, you still are. But the success of your entrepreneurship is based on the quality of life that you had become, the mindset that you have after a few years, and the vision of longevity for your business, and where do you get that business after. Because the more difficult part, even the big people, the giant conglomerates in the Philippines, they don't start big. They start with small.
Yep.
And like what I said, when you keep comparing your business and yourself to the bigger ones, you won't end up being satisfied. And that's where I've been telling earlier that you look at your business, small or big, as the business itself. So it's always a big deal. It's always needed. It always needs your time, your efforts, 100%. Otherwise, if you don't look at it that way, you will always look at yourself as small, because the world is naturally like that. You'll see big things. You'll always want to have something that's nice. It's not like I don't look for things that are nicer or grander or bigger for myself, except I'm able to manage it. So I'm able to keep my pace at a level where I know it's satisfying, I know it's productive, and at the same time, I'm happy, because only when you're happy, that's when you're able to make other people around you happy as well.
I love that. it goes down to, it starts with you, and then of course that long-term thinking of like planning, not even just planning ahead, just seeing further than where you are. I love that. Thank you so much, Apple, for being on the Scale You podcast. I have loved having you here. You've given us so many quotable quotes that we will probably keep using. For everyone else, again, we put all of the links for Apple's social media below, so you can check her out and follow her everywhere else. Again, thank you so much, Apple, for your time today and for sharing a lot of your wisdom with everyone here who is listening or watching, who is hoping for a life like yours, and giving us a little bit behind the scenes of what it's like. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leon. I hope to see you in person again, and I look forward to doing more of this kind of content with you online and through TNC as well. Thank you.
Again, all of Apple's links is going to be below. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Scale You podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button wherever it is. If you're listening in on Spotify or Apple or wherever it is you're listening, hopefully you keep tuning in as we go week by week, going through the stories and the lessons learned from people who are scaling themselves and their business. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!